At a busy railway station in the heart of the city, surrounded by crowds rushing to their destinations, lived a man no one noticed, a beggar. Each day he walked up and down the platforms with an outstretched hand, asking passengers for just a little change to survive. He had no home, no possessions, no certainty, only hope, and a weathered voice that repeated the same request to strangers every day. One afternoon, as a train arrived and the platform filled with people, the beggar spotted a tall, well-dressed man stepping off a first-class carriage. His suit was crisp, his shoes polished, and his aura powerful. The beggar thought, "This man must be rich. If I ask him, maybe he'll give me something generous." Encouraged by the man's appearance, the beggar approached and stretched out his hand. But instead of reaching into his pocket, the man paused, looked him in the eye, and asked, "You always ask others for something, but tell me, have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar was caught off guard. He stammered, "Sir, I'm just a beggar. I have nothing. That's why I ask. How can I give when I have nothing to offer?" The man replied calmly but firmly, "If you have nothing to give, then you have no right to ask. I am a businessman, and I believe in a simple principle: give and take. If you can offer me something in return, only then will I give you something." With that, the man stepped onto the train, and within seconds, he was gone. The beggar stood frozen, disturbed, and confused. The man's words echoed in his mind, like a truth he had never dared to face. That night, the beggar couldn't sleep. He kept asking himself, "What did he mean? Is that why people pass me by? Because I've never given anything in return?" But again, he argued with himself. "What can I give? I have no food, no money, no belongings. I am poor. I am nothing." For 2 days he sat in silence, haunted by the thought. On the third day, as he rested near the edge of the station, he noticed something: small flowers blooming along the wall, red, yellow, white, simple but beautiful. A new idea bloomed inside him. Maybe I can't give money or food, but what if I give these flowers? At least they will bring someone joy. He picked a few carefully and held them tightly. That day, when he walked through the train compartments and passengers gave him coins, he handed each of them a flower in return. At first, people were surprised. Some laughed, some smiled. But many kept the flowers, touched by the gesture. For the first time in his life, he felt he had given something back. From then on, the beggar rose early each morning to gather flowers. It became a part of him. Slowly, he noticed something strange. When he had flowers to give, more people gave him money. When he ran out, the generosity faded. He began to understand. He was no longer a beggar asking for mercy. He was offering a small exchange, something of value. Then one day, as fate would have it, he saw that same tall man again. Without hesitation, the beggar rushed toward him. His eyes were no longer hollow. They were bright. "Sir," he said proudly, "today I have something to give you. If you would like to give me something, I will offer you this flower." The man smiled, handed him some money, and accepted the flower. "Wonderful," he said. "You've become a businessman, just like me." The beggar stood frozen, those words ringing in his ears like thunder. He stepped off the train, looked up at the sky, and shouted at the top of his lungs, "I'm not a beggar anymore. I am a businessman. I can become rich." People around him stopped. Some stared, some laughed, some shook their heads thinking he'd gone mad. But inside, he had never been more sane. Something deep had changed, not just how the world saw him, but how he saw himself. 6 months later, at the same station, 2 well-dressed men were waiting for the train. One of them recognized the other and extended his hand for a handshake. "Do you remember me?" he asked. The second man shook his head. "I don't think we've met." The first man smiled. "We've met twice. Once, I asked you for money, and you refused. The second time, I gave you a flower in return for a coin." The man stared, wide-eyed. "Wait, you were that beggar?" "Yes," the man replied. "But not anymore. I am now a flower merchant. I am on my way to another city to expand my business." He continued, "That day, your words changed my life. You made me realize that people weren't giving me charity. They were paying for what I gave them. I was never just a beggar. I was always capable. I just needed to see it. Now I buy and sell flowers. I give joy, and I live with dignity." The two men smiled, and the train carried them forward, no longer strangers, but two businessmen whose paths had crossed for a reason. This story teaches us something powerful. What truly changes our lives is not just money, luck, or help from others, but the way we see ourselves. When we shift from asking, "What can I get?" to "What can I give?" the world responds in kind. Giving isn't about wealth, it's about mindset. A kind word, a smile, a small gesture, these are seeds. And if you dare to plant them, one day they will bloom into something far greater than you ever imagined. Just like a man who once gave away flowers and received back a new life.